Welcome back to the Three Parallels podcast with your host, the Dr. Jason Branch, where we rediscover who we were, we embrace who we are, and we make room for who we're trying to become. On today's show, we're talking about part 3, Cakebread Cellars, baby. I finally got a chance to experience, and guess what? I got my bottle. Yes, 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 yes. So now I'm going to talk about the experience because some people, get pieces of things, and I want to give you all the other things. Because this is something I'm really proud of. So Cakebread Cellars Chardonnay 2015 Napa Valley, bottle in hand. This is my second bottle, by the way. I'm gonna keep this until I feel moved to dive in. But I had another bottle to myself because I had to. It was that moment. So this is part 3, the continuation of Cakebread, which we're gonna close this out and move to the next journey on our experience together. So Cakebread Cellars. I want to give you some backstory to the front story. So as you know, I mentioned my experience at the country club, and Cakebread was the shit, and everybody wanted it. And I now understand why. Because going to the cellar, going to Cakebread Cellars, there's a culture there, there's an image there, there's a brand there that was curated intentionally that leaned all the way from Napa Valley to Alabama. And I don't know how, but they did it. They were able to maintain this standard from 1973 to 2025. So going to the cellar was a moment, and this moment I will cherish for the rest of my life because Cakebread was an idea for most of my life, and now it's reality. Because as I mentioned in the previous episode, I got caught up in the wine, the bottle, the brand, and did not consider the people. So I'm talking about the people because that's what I learned about going to the cellar. Now, I always liked the name Cakebread because I mean, who don't like cake? And and who don't like bread? Okay, both of these, I like cake and bread. My granddad, when growing up, he would have cake, he would have pound cake, regular cake, and cornbread all in one sitting. Like he loved cake bread. He was a cake bread man before I even knew what cake bread was. So the name would always catch me, but I didn't recognize that the name is due to the name of the founders. Yeah. So I went, got a little history lesson I want to share with you because I'm a history buff. Never knew it, but I know it now. So Cakebread was founded in 1973 by Jack and Dolores Cakebread. That's their last name. That's their last name, Cakebread. This whole time, I never knew. Never knew. Now, the name Cakebread, it came from their culture, background, heritage, because Cakebread, the origin of the name came from the job that they did. They were bakers. They made cakes and pies and all that. So Cakebread was part of the name. That's how it was their last name. So what was interesting about learning about their story is Dolores and Jack met in college. They met in college, doing different things in college. He was in Jack was in photography. Dolores was doing something different, and they got exposed to wine, enjoyed it, and then decided, hey, let's invest in this wine space. And they started on a 22-acre property in Rutherford, California. Within a year, they were producing wine. So they bought the winery in 73. They were producing wine by 74. And guess what their first signature wine was? You already know, Chardonnay. I had no idea. I had no idea I was in the company of greatness because that was their first, and that's their stellar bottle to this day. So over decades, they have acquired more vineyards across Napa, even Anderson Valley. They doing well, okay? Very well. It's a family operation. Their son, Bruce and Dennis, they took over, keeping the wine and hospitality traditions alive. They're celebrating 50-year vintage recently. Jack, the founder, he passed away in 2022 at 92 years old. He was remembered as a pioneering figure in modern Napa Valley winemaking. And he wasn't a part of this industry growing up. He was doing something completely different, actually into photography, which is wild. But that exposure made them decide, hey, let's invest in this industry. And that's what they did. And they won. Yeah, they still winning. So they've known for their Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc, and they've grown into a broader portfolio. So they produce about 200,000 cases annually, enough to reach wine lovers locally and internationally. So this is something shared within the states and all across the country internationally as well. It was mind blowing. So just hearing this history, it just gave even more connection to the experience. So as we walking around the cellar, like the service, I'm really big on customer service. So if I get a great customer service experience, I don't care if the food horrible. I'm cool with customer service. It means everything. Even if the food great, customer service is horrible, food was horrible. Even if it was great. So the great thing about Cakebread being there, number one, you can't just walk up to Cakebread like, yeah, I want to check it out. I need a tour. Nah, bro. You need to make a reservation months in advance just to take a tour. So it's very curated and exclusive intentionally because that's the brand. So you can't just show up. So it's empty. And a few parties here and there, a few people here and there, but it was basically our own. I felt like VIP, and that was intentional. So they have a restaurant on site, reservation only, months in advance, years in advance, cooking classes. They have everything, and it's nice. It's clean. It's so pristine. So we walk in and we start off with a tasting at the front. Like, we're gonna start off with some Sauvignon Blanc. Okay, let's go. At the front, we just registered. So there's awards and accolades and bottles all over, and it's just really plush. It's real nice. We go outside, and soon as we walk out, there's rows of the vineyard. And the tour guide was so nice and friendly, and she was sharing, hey, we're finna come up on a season where we're gonna harvest because they finna make their new batch. So these grapes are going to be plucked within the next couple of weeks or so. You're more than welcome to taste one. And I'm sitting here like, what? I thought for sure I ain't gonna be able to touch nothing because that's what I'm used to. Again, who I used to be. Y'all know us. Don't touch that. Don't look at that. Don't break it. I can't afford. Sit down and hush. Can't speak for everybody, but that was what it was for me. So I'm already there feeling as though I can't touch nothing. She already breaking this stigma by saying, go and touch everything. You can eat the grapes if you want to. They a little bitter, but go and eat some. So I go to the vineyard, I walk over and I'm touching original grapes that's going to belong into a Chardonnay bottle. I'm touching right now. I'm tasting off the vine. I lost my shit, y'all. I lost my shit. We just started the tour. I'm already crying, eating grapes off the vine at Cakebread Cellars. I was done then, y'all. I was done. I could have went home right then and there because I never thought that. And it was a moment. I've never had a grape off of a vineyard. I've never had that before. I had it, and it was the best grape I ever had in my damn life. Why? Cakebread. So, uh, so moving on. Tour starts and we're getting exposed to how they make the wine. And they have these cement eggs, they have barrels. I mean, it's so much that goes to the winemaking process, but it's simple at the same time. It's simplistic because the simplicity of it is whatever they produce for that year, that's what they sell. So, you may have wines from different years, different things like that. Every year represents a certain harvest. So, therefore, they have all these systems in place to, plant the seeds, create the vines, get the grapes, all these processes. But what they cannot control, hear me, is the environment around them. So they may have a history about weather reports, but that was from last year, year before, 10 years before. It cannot predict or control specifically today. We don't get that much info. That's a God thing. That's bigger than us. So they're trusting their system and putting it against Mother Nature's system. And that's how they create these wines. And it was just beautiful hearing and learning about it because I had no idea. Again, I'm caught up in the bottle, not caught up in the person. But it takes a team of people, and they pick the grapes at night. Put some big lights up and pick them at night because of the temperature. Like, it's a science behind it, and you still can't control it. I need y'all to see this. Think about how you try your best to be perfect, right? Perfectionist mindset, salamander mindset. Even you're trying to be perfect, and just like grapes, the environment around us, we cannot control or change. Therefore, we need to adjust. Wineries adjust. We don't. That's a word. Somebody do something with that. So even with a winery adjusted, every case, every bottle is a fan favorite. Why? Because of the brand. I don't care if it was a bad season for you. It's a great season for me. Because average people can't tell the difference from one year to the next. Just want to talk about facts. Okay? Just want to talk about it. So, man, learning about Jack and them, Jack Cakebread, he was a commercial photographer that visited Napa on an assignment and decided, I'm finna buy this land. I think it was 25,000 at the time. Bought the land for 25,000. I don't know what it's worth now, but I'm sure it is worth. something. Um, and they just found ways to create things that provided experiences for people. And so the whole tour, I'm learning about these things, and it was immaculate. It was beautiful. The energy, the vibe, the people, everybody was friendly because you're not there unless you're somebody. You're not even there. Dan mentioned, as we was pulling up, they had a sign. He said, "Yeah, man, for years they never had a sign." Meaning there was a winery there, but you had no idea who it was. It was all intentional. I was so impressed with their intentionality around what they did and how they did it. It was amazing because they were intentional. They created systems that they were able to win. So for every spot we went to, I had a different wine, and every wine that I had was another experience. Now, mind you, the day before, I told you what happened the other day. I drank so much wine, I stopped tasting it. But when I got the cake bread, I tasted it again. I was tasting again. But I drank so much, I think I probably drank more wine than I ever had in my entire life the night before. So doing these tasting this time, I was prepared. I was ready. So I'm seeing how everything is made. I'm seeing the barrels. I'm seeing the tips and tools and history. It was a beautiful and amazing experience. And I'm just taking it all in. So I told Dan and Lisa the story because they're like, why cake bread? Out of all these wineries up and down Sonoma and Napa, why the hell we going to cake bread? And I told them the story. And I was like, oh shit, we need to go to Cakebread. We need to go to Cakebread. So the story, again, all the wines, the reason we love wine or different wines or drinks is because of the experiences that we have or had with it. Typically, those experiences connect to people. So for me, I was able to experience all these things for years and then finally have access. And I'm just waiting for my moment. Even though I was fully present, I knew how my night was going to end or how my day was going to end with getting a bottle for the first time. So that was always the mission. But I was fully present in the moments of experiencing cake bread. Uh, Sidebar, random. Even their bathrooms were nice. And I'm like, how y'all bathroom nice? It smell good. Like I could hang out in the bathroom. It was weirdly nice and refreshing. It smelled good. I had tiles, wasn't a water speck anywhere. It was very pristine. So Dan being Dan knew the chef. So he knew the chef. Chef come out. We all talking, kicking and having a good time. We held the tour up. Because Dan the man. Dan is the man. We held the tour up because he was talking to the chef and just hearing them talk about, the service industry and they crossed paths years ago and just learning about a different industry that I'm not a part of. I had a chance to witness or review, but not being a part of it, it was great to be a fly on the wall. But I wasn't. I was this big dude standing in the living room. I wasn't on no wall. I was right there. So we check out their entire property, which is nice. It's not huge. It's curated. And every spot we went to, there was a story, and I just hearing all these different stories and all these things and just knowing the history. I was in. I was all in. They got memberships. They wasn't trying to sell the membership because if it was kind of like the most um intensive version of who we were, who we are, who we're becoming, because they knew they were him or her or them. And when you know that, you ain't got to sell nothing. They didn't sell anything. If you want to get it, it's there. You have access, but we're not doing it. They didn't do any of that. I was shocked. So we go through all of their wines, have a great experience. There was a few people with us, but we were just in it. I was just in it. I was there by myself. Even though I was with people, I was by myself because that's how far gone I was mentally, emotionally. And y'all know I'm emotional as hell. So I'm just having moments because I can't believe I'm here versus where I once was. So as we get close to the end of the tour, because we having a good time, and the host was like, "Yo, I got a special bottle for y'all." And we get to the end of the tour. And now we're in the store. Now I spent a lot of time in the store admiring all the cake bread merch and bottles. And their store was real nice because they had bottles on the wall, different types of bottles. But I'm only looking for one bottle, and I'm looking around and I can't find it. So I'm like, I'll go back to it. So I start looking at other things. They got freaking pickleball paddles, wine keys, and jackets, and hats, and cases. I saw this case that carries wine. It's like a suitcase. You carry 6 to 12 bottles of wine. I'm like, I didn't even know this existed, you know? And I'm like, who would get that? Before I know it, I ended up with one. Don't tell nobody. But every year I'm going to Napa. I got family up there now. You know what I'm saying? I got a crew up there now that want me to be there. They got all kind of wine from all over the world that's in their cellars. Yeah, I'm part of that crew now. So I might need that. So fast forward, I see different bottles, and this is what's wild. Like I said, this bottle during the time I was at the country club will run you about 200, $300. Easy. Easy. Depends on what's going on. Christmas time, 300. Fall, Thanksgiving, 250. October, 200. It just depends on the season. But they never had a problem with keeping wine in stock. Like, never had a problem with that. So I'm going around and I'm like, let me go get a closer look because there's people, taking up a lot of different space. So I'm like, let me just attract my bottle because I'm looking for a specific thing. So I go into the cellar and I looked around and I saw it. It was 2 bottles left. 2 green bottles, Cakebread Cellars Chardonnay, one from 2015, one from 2021. I ain't want nothing to do with 2021. Because 2015 was so significant for me because it's the year I started my doctoral program. No coincidences, breadcrumbs and ripples. So I had to get 2015. And I got 2021 too. I got both of them. So I knew I was going to drink 2021 first and hold on to the 15 until I feel moved to open, which there's a story there I'll share momentarily. And me having these bottles and seeing these bottles, I told Dan, I told Lisa, and they were so excited for me because this is my first time buying a bottle and I'm getting it from the source. And I had a moment, I'm tearing up. The person who was showing us around, she knew the story. She's tearing up. It was a moment that I'll cherish forever because it was full circle. I became him because I couldn't be, but I couldn't buy a bottle without being him. I just need you to see that. There's certain things you can't do as your current self. Mm, that's a word. Hear me. There's certain things in life. There's people, places, and things that you don't have access to right now because of your current life. But once you become him or her, I'm talking about capital HER, her, not the R&B singer with the guitar. I'm talking about you, yo ass. First name yo, last name ass. When you become that person, you get access to things that you never could have without being this version of you. So when I became him, I had 2 bottles. Now, these 2 bottles, both of them were less than 1 bottle during a down season at the country club. This bottle, I'm sorry, I bought 2 bottles. Both bottles, little discount, little love, was $89 out the freaking door. $89 out the door. I could do nothing but laugh. Bought two bottles. Now I could take these 2 bottles, go down south, sell them up the market, and make it happen. And part of that was the reality of the markup in this industry. Again, I mentioned it before, 60 to 80% markup. So when I bought both of these bottles for less than $100, it was just a moment of recognition of belief versus facts and what we think and what we feel. And what we feel is way more important than the facts. We don't care about the facts when we care how we feel. That is it. That is all. So moving on to this other story I had to share with you. So story time. Years ago, when I was in a master's program, one of my favorite professors, Dr. Larry Tyson, who's now retired, living in the woods somewhere in Vermont, doing his thug thizzle. I'm trying to get him on the show, but he is he is hard to catch. I need a satellite to get this man. So Dr. Larry Tyson, huge mentor of mine, one of my professors. He's the reason I had access to teach. Part of the reason I became a counselor educator, because years ago, 2012 to be exact, 2 years after I graduated with my master's, I was just working in the profession, working in the industry, just getting my hands in everything, just being active and involved. And Dr. Tyson, reached out like, hey, would you be interested in serving as an adjunct at UAB, University of Alabama at Birmingham? I was like, adjunct? I can't do that. I don't have a PhD. He said, I didn't ask if you had a PhD. I asked, did you want an adjunct? I said, yeah. He said, cool. He gave me a syllabus and a textbook. I've been teaching ever since. And what's wild about this is when I start teaching, I recognize I love teaching as much, if not more, than doing therapy. And I asked, man, how do I do this full time? He said, you need to get a PhD. I was like, all right, where I do that at? Where they get those out at? Just my ignorance. But the reason I'm sharing a story, Dr. Tyson used to hold these groups and workshops for CSI. CSI, Chi Sigma Iota. It was the I can't remember the chapter name, and I'm not gonna butcher it. But I was a member, and he would have a running group. So we would have running groups, and we would meet up at his house, which I loved because most of the professors I work with, I didn't even know their first name because they just didn't reveal. And that's why I reveal as much as I do in the classroom because I came up in an industry during a time where self-disclosure was not a thing. So even the professors did not share anything about themselves. So Dr. Tyson did not mind sharing, even opening his home for us. And when he opened his home, I'm in awe because it's a beautiful home. And he had a wine cellar, full circle. And this wine cellar had these little tags of wine, the different years from where they from. And he was a wine collector. And I see all these different wines, and I'm enamored. It's beautiful. And I'm like, one day I'll have a wine cellar, which I will, but I'm gonna have a cellar. The one that you can imagine, that's what I'm gonna have. Already got it now. Many of us do, because that's underneath the basement. Another story for another day. So I look to my left in his wine cellar and I see a rack. And this rack is empty bottles of Dom Pérignon champagne with gold lettering on it from like a magic marker. And I said, "Hey, Dr. Tyson, what's this about?" And he said, "Oh, that's our collection." He was talking about his wife, him and his wife and his daughter had this thing that they do where they would celebrate their accomplishments. And I'm so happy and I'm so proud to be sharing this because now the tradition that they have, somebody else, maybe you specifically, can develop this or continue this legacy of this celebration. Because as you know, Gators celebrate, but they would celebrate different stages and places of their life, such as getting tenure, having children, getting married, public, having a publication, doing a documentary, whatever accomplishment they had, they would celebrate it by writing on the Dom Perignon bottle whatever it was, the time, the event, and they would sign it. And it was multiple bottles in gold for years. And I was in awe. And I said, yo, I would love to adopt this tradition. He said, man, ain't mine. Shit, take it. And from that day, I knew every big event, I'm celebrating with a bottle of Dom P. And I didn't get my first bottle of Dom P until I graduated from Auburn University in 2018. I had the bottle with the gold letter on it because that was the first time I wanted to celebrate this moment and start that tradition. So now at the house, we have several bottles of Dom P empty with the gold lettering because that was a tradition that I decided to continue. And now it's my legacy. So you hear it here first. The origin came from Dr. Tyson, but as the legend continues and the legend has it, people will say, yeah, I got this from Dr. Branch because I don't know no Dr. Tyson. He off the grid anyway. So from today moving forward, if you want to adopt this, adopt it. I think it's brilliant. I think it's phenomenal because of what it represents. Now, Dom P is some nice champagne, but if you poured it in a glass and you poured some damn Boone's Farm next to it, I couldn't tell the difference. If it wasn't Boone Farm, Thunderbird, Mad Dog, what, I couldn't tell the difference. If it's Vouv, if it's Dom P, if it's Andre Spumante. I couldn't tell. The reality is you couldn't either unless you're a song. So hush. Doesn't matter. What does matter is the experience. So I share this with you to give you permission to live, to dream big, to know that where you are is not where you will always be, to know that there's ripples and breadcrumbs all around us if I'm paying attention. And if I'm paying attention to the breadcrumbs, eventually I'm going to wake up in Panera. If I continue to throw a pebble in the pond, it's going to make ripples, and those ripples is going to make an impact. Every single day, I find a way to pour 10 pebbles into the pond, which means I'm going to get 100-fold of things to come back. These stories that I'm sharing with you is an example of my truth, my lived experience. And you can do whatever you want to do with it. I'm thankful for this moment. I'm thankful that I have a platform and an audience and a tribe and a community to share this stuff with because it's been on my head and my heart as long as I can remember. And now I have a place to share. And I appreciate you for accepting and acknowledging me for being me. These moments I don't take for granted. I'm appreciative. I'm thankful. And here are your flowers. Here's your bottle. So you can begin living life on your own terms instead of the terms that somebody gave you years ago. That doesn't matter. Give yourself permission to be you. And if you do, you can end up just like me with a bottle of cake bread. 2015. Coincidence? Not at all. Because what you're supposed to have, you're going to get when you get out of your own way. This has been another episode of the Three Parallels Podcast with your host, the Dr. Jason Branch. Hashtag Cakebread, where we rediscover who we were, we embrace who we are, we make room for who we're trying to become. If this episode has touched you in any way, shape, form, or fashion, give it away. Share, like, comment, subscribe. Get in where you fit in. Join the community. More info to come. Check the description. Access is available. I don't take it for granted. I hope you don't. We are moving. We are building something. If you want some, come get some. Because we are everything. Peace.